Now that season 3 of Rick and Morty has come to an end, and I've had a few weeks to rewatch and reflect on the entire series, and even though a lot of fans thought that season 3 was a letdown, I still think it had a handful of all-time great episodes, and it really got me thinking. So today I want to go over my picks for my top 10 Rick and Morty episodes so far. Now, do please keep in mind that this is just my own personal opinions and my own personal favorite episodes. So if you don't agree or think that a different episode should have been in there, should have been included in the list, go ahead and drop a comment down below, tell me why and what episode it should have been. But anyway guys, with that out of the way, let's jump right into today's list. Our first episode is season 1, episode 8, Rick's the Minutes. And not only was this an incredibly funny and well-written episode, but it brought us interdimensional cable, which is one of the most unique and interesting ideas I've ever seen in any show ever. The improvisational skits are downright freaking hilarious. So many interesting and just off-the-wall crazy stuff that just came together so perfectly. The subplot is also top-notch. It's about Jerry's alternate life where he's a movie star. He does cocaine with Johnny Depp and bangs Kristen Stewart. But ultimately, he decides he would rather be with Beth than with Hollywood actresses. And it has this really touching moment at the end. And it's just a great series of moments in this episode. A great combination of funny and heartwarming. And that's what makes this episode so solid and a must-watch. Next on my list is Season 2, Episode 3, Autoerotic Assimilation. Another insanely funny episode. The idea of a hive-minded woman who used to be Rick's girlfriend is a perfect fit, as Unity can clearly use her control over other planets' population to do Rick's bidding to please him, of course, which just turns quickly into a drunken, drug-fueled disaster. But this episode also has a dark side to it. The subplot involves both Beth and Jerry discovering an alien under the garage, which leads to them fighting, and we can clearly see their marriage starting to slip apart. But what we really set this episode apart is just how sad and dark it gets when Unity decides to leave Rick. It leads to Rick ultimately trying to attempt suicide, but only being saved by pure luck when he passes out just before being vaporized. This is easily the darkest moment we've ever seen in the whole series, and that's why I really love this episode so much. Next up is Season 2, Episode 6, The Ricks Must Be Crazy, and holy shit is this episode nuts. It starts out with Rick's car battery being dead, easy, simply enough problem, but we then discover that Rick created an entire universe inside of his battery in order to power his car. Just the premise after the episode is downright classic, but it gets even better because of Zeep, who is voiced by none other than Stephen Colbert, a personal favorite of mine also. The interactions between Rick and Zeep are so freaking funny. The whole way the episode is structured is flawless. Again, the B-plot or subplot of the car keeping Summer safe is also a home run. Seriously, the car that makes a dead child melt in front of his father, I almost lost it. That was just so out of this world crazy and funny. This episode really sticks out to me. It was memorable plot lines on both subplot and main plot, and it's one of my favorites.
Leave the car alone.
What?
Leave the car alone.
Hunter?
Oh my god.
Like I said, despite most people thinking that Season 3 was a letdown, it did have its moments, and Episode 7, the Rick Lantis mix-up, was a smash hit for me. Right off the bat, we get introduced to some great new characters like Cop Morty, and he's just freaking hilarious and a total badass. I just love the sheer amount of different Ricks and Mortys in the episode, and you can tell the creators and the animators really went all out on this episode, and it shows. Of course, we also got a great subplot of Stand By Me Mortys and, of course, Campaign Manager Morty. But come on, everything around this episode was the biggest reveal ever in the show. It reveals that Campaign Morty and the President Morty is actually evil Morty the whole time. I mean, you kind of saw it coming, but it was still really cool to reveal. It really blew my mind at the time. It had an awesome plot line, and it picks up on a plot line from Season 1, and I can't wait to see where they take this in Season 4. This episode really stood out to me from Season 3. Next up is another classic from Season 2, Episode 5, Get Swifty. So of course this episode gave us one of the best catchphrases and or songs of all time, but it was more than just that. It had a deep plot that took a look in depth at religion and stuff like that, and weird popularity of reality music shows. I thought that was an odd combo, but it made for one hell of a great episode. It also features possibly the best cameo role of the entire series as Ice-T playing himself. And then we learn that Ice-T is made of ice and he has to save the day. And it features quite possibly the best after credit scene as Ice-T returns home to take on the new Americans. I fucking love that. That's brilliant. Hopefully they bring back that in season 4 as well. So take your pants off and shit on the floor, guys, because it's time to get swifty, and this was what a great episode.
Shit on the floor. Time to get swifty in here. I'm Mr. Bulldog.
Just cracking my top 5 is season 1, episode 4, M. Night Shyamalan Aliens. This episode was one of the first that I ever saw, and I knew right then and there this show was going to be something special. The plot line this time is that Rick and Morty and Jerry are all in a massive reality simulator, and the intergalactic scam artists known as the Zygerians are trying to get Rick's formula for dark matter out of him via his family. Of course, Rick, being the smartest being in the universe, is quick to catch on to the plan, and I absolutely love how the aliens can't listen to or watch them while they're naked, so Rick makes Morty get naked in the shower while they talk. I absolutely died laughing the first time I saw that, and I said, this is a show I need to watch more of. I need to get into this. And I also love the subplot that Jerry gets stuck in the simulation by accident, and being the idiot that he is, he doesn't notice that he's in a reality simulation. He has the best day of his life. The whole hungry for apples thing is hilarious. And just the way that Rick ends up outsmarting the scammers and it ends up in an explosion makes for a dope-ass episode.
Wow! What the hell? What happened back there?
Why don't you ask the smartest people in the universe, Jerry? Oh yeah, you can't. They blew up.
My personal favorite episode from season 3 has to be the episode 1, Rick Shake Redemption. This episode was non-stop funny and next level witty with its writing. Not to mention it single-handedly brought Szechuan sauce back from the dead. I freaking love how Rick got out of prison by hijacking the body of a guard and then jumping into a SEAL Team Rick body. That plotline was hilarious. It was also brilliant all the way around. It had some of the funniest moments in the entire season. The subplot of Morty and Summer being held captive at the Citadel of Ricks was wrapped up geniusly when Rick took out both the Galactic Federation and the Citadel of Ricks at once. A truly epic episode and one to stick out and remember. Now, if I could only get my hands on that damn nugget sauce. I mean, come on, McDonald's, get your shit together.
It's a trap! Abort! I'm still in his Shoney's. Repeat, we never left his Shoney's!
Next up is the very first episode, the pilot episode from season 1. This is the episode that got the show off the ground and made it into the massive success that we see today. But beyond that, it's also insanely funny and it's a great adventure that introduces us to the characters and their world. The intro scene of drunk Rick saying he's going to destroy the world with a neutrino bomb and Morty can start over with Jessica is still one of my favorite scenes from the show. And who could forget the way they shoved seeds way up your butt, Morty, way up there. And that part just made me die laughing. Another one of the early moments when I thought this show was going to be great. This is one of the best pilot episodes of any show I've ever seen, ever. And after I've watched it 50 times now, I still laugh out loud at its humor. I mean, seriously, when Morty shoots the galactic agent because Rick tells him he's a robot and he starts bleeding out, it's like, tell my wife I love her. It's like, he's a robot, he's a bureaucrat, I don't respect them. That part makes me die laughing every time. And it gave us one of the best Rick and Morty rants of all time.
Glenn's bleeding to death! Someone call his wife and children! They're not robots, Rick! It's a figure of speech, Morty! They're bureaucrats! I don't respect them! Just keep...
In my runner-up spot is Season 1, Episode 5, Meeseeks and Destroy. And man, this was a hard call not being my number 1. I mean, Mr. Meeseeks is one of my favorite all-time characters from any show, and I must have watched this episode easily 100 times now, and it seriously never gets old. The whole, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me, is stuck in my head, and I'll catch myself saying, can do, after watching it for days. And of course, the episode is on another great plot line that follows Rick and Morty on an adventure led by Morty for the very first time. And again, it's an incredibly dark moment. It involves Morty being sexually assaulted by King Jellybean. That part was fucking crazy, funny, but weird at the same time. This is a shining example of how a structure and well-written comedy should be done. It's done perfectly. Both the subplotline and the A plotline are beautifully done, and I love both of them and are super fucking funny. Even though it's not my number 1 on the list, this is an episode I go back and watch at least a few times a month, and I highly recommend doing the same.
Something. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. Hi. Can you help me get 2 strokes off of Jerry's golf swing? Can do.
Now, before we get to number 1, let's take a quick look at a few runners-up that just missed out on making my top 10. my number one favorite episode of Rick and Morty has to be Total Recall. This episode has it all. Crazy funny plotline, loads of zany characters, and of course it led to many fan theories surrounding Mr. Poopy Butthole and his origins. I also love how they snuck in the continuity from a previous episode. If you guys didn't know, in the beginning of the episode we see Rick toss out these green glowing rocks with pink growths on them. We saw them pick them up in an alien planet just a few episodes prior to this, and this is where the parasites actually came from. It's little things like this that make the episode so amazing. That and Pencil Vester is just such a cool character. I mean, seriously, I love all of these characters. And I even love this episode so much that I bought the card game that was made for it, and that also is lots of fun. If you guys have not played that, give that a play. I could totally watch Total Recall over and over and never get tired of it, and that is why it is my number one on my list. But anyway, guys, that's all just my favorites. Let me know what you guys think. What are your favorite episodes down in the comments below? I'd love to see what you guys think. What are your top 10 or your top 5? Let me know down in the comments. Also, you guys could do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are new around here. It really help me out. And be sure to check out my previous Rick and Morty videos. So there's a whole playlist of them in the end slate and the description. But until next time, guys, remember that it's always K-Mac time somewhere. Until then, guys, take it easy and peace out.
Jump right in.
When in job.